Good evening, guys. Hello, and welcome back once again to the channel, and welcome back to the Motor Royal Racing League's GT7 Championship. This being the final round now, so this is the big one. This is the 15-minute endurance. Only one race for this week. So as I say, season 3 coming to an end. We had qualifying, so after qualifying, Wayne G will line up on pole. Thomas will line up in second place. Blood Diamond in third. Dan Bailey in fourth. Chuck in fifth. Jerry in sixth. Vexed in seventh. Asbo in eighth. Pickle starts in ninth. Mawson in 10th. And Clutch will start in 11th place. So without further ado, shall we get into this first race? And I think we have actually got standings to go through. Wayne G still top of the tables. I think Thomas not too far behind him. But it's looking like Wayne G could take the championship here. Where is the standings? Interestingly, I can't find the standings right now. So here we go, results. So I believe coming into this round, we have Too Fast on 386 points. We've got Thomas on 351. Mawson's on 283. Ice Chan now down to fourth place with 261. We've got Dan Bailey in fifth with 236. Blood Diamond's got 224. Pickle has 218. Vexed has 201. We've got Ions Clutch or Kieran on in ninth on 163 points. Chuck is in 10th with 157. We've got Jerry in 11th with 156. Asbo on 137. Danny Jones still only on 5 points. And Dirty Dubs still yet to make an appearance in the series. But without further ado, we have got this very long race to get out of the way, so let's get straight into it. Obviously 50 minutes, no reverse grid in this one. Just racing down to the wire. I'm sure strategy is going to come into play, but the fuel and tyre wear was actually reduced for this endurance race just so people could race a bit more. So let's go. The klaxon sounds and they are off. It looks like the Sitch and the Vest getting a very good getaway in the background again. He's managed to make a position already. There's Dan Bailey as well. Dan Bailey looking to go up the inside. He's on the inside of Vex now. Will he get that position? Vexed up to third place. Dan Bailey currently sat in fourth. And yeah, Dan Bailey just managing to edge just ahead of Vex there. So now we've got a 4-car train. We've also got Thomas and Chuck in the background there, having a bit of side-side action. Then Thomas slings it up the inside. Bit of a naughty move there from Thomas. Did force Vex offline. Vex now losing momentum under the attention of Asbo, who's going to sling it up the inside or try to. There's another bit of side-to-side contact there. Hopefully Vex will not pick up a penalty for that. And then they are 3 wide on to the front straight. On the approach to the first chicane. Chuck does manage to edge ahead. Jerry trying to get in on the action there as well, and Vex just off onto the grass ever so slightly there, having to try and make room for the other cars, not being given a load of room himself. And then we have Mawson and Asbo trying to have a look up the inside. What is going to happen here? Oh, what? So somehow Vex ended up with a 10.5 second penalty. He gets shuffled out wide. Asbo up into 5th place. Chuck up into 4th. Mawson's up to 6th. We got Vex in 7th, but yeah, he's going to be hurting now with that. What even is a 10.5 second penalty? 10.5 seconds. Like, what? I don't... Incomprehensible. Asbo losing the position to Mawson. Mawson moves just ahead into 5th place. Vexed can't find his way past Asbo, and he's going to be losing even more positions once he has to serve them penalties, or that penalty. Jerry there in 8th place, chasing him down. We've got Dan Bailey now 9th. Dan also had a really good start there. Not sure what happened to Dan, must have had a moment somewhere. Pickle down in 10th, and then we have Clutch there in 11th, trying to hold on to the pack. So Wayne G with a very good getaway from the start. Keeps the lead of the race, and he's already pulled out a little bit of a gap over Thomas, back in 2nd place. It's going to be a 2.5 at least. Maybe even around the 2-second mark. I think it's around a 2.5 though from the looks of it. He's 2 or 3 car lengths back And around about the same gap back to Blood in third place. Blood now being challenged by Chuck. Chuck having a look up the inside, is he? He's going to be able to get it done in that RCZ. The RCZ can be very good around some tracks. It looks like it is very good around Circuit de la Sarthe or Le Mans, affectionately known as Lemans. Oh no, it's a few people up in the background there. What happened there? That was Molson and somebody else. I'm not sure. We're going to have a look at that because somebody else getting caught up in them shenanigans as well. Oh, and it was it looked like Asbo into the rear there. So Asbo getting very close indeed along the straight, offers the bump draft to try and stay ahead of Vexed. Then we come through this very tricky sector here. And yeah, just outbrakes himself into the back of Molson. Molson off the track. Asbo is also off as well. Somebody else in the background there, Pickle and Clutch. Oh, and then Asbo getting spun around once again just for good measure. Well, that was a massive clusterfuck. But we continue. So Wayne G is still trying to extend the lead back to Thomas in the Ferrari. Wayne G driving the Dodge Viper and he's been driving the absolute wheels off of that thing all season. It's been an absolute powerhouse. I wonder if anybody's going to be brave enough to use it in the season coming. It's also very good on fuel. He's been, well, he was up shifting halfway through the rev limiter or through the rev odometer. And it was still getting really, well, still had really good pace. But yeah, he's just won it by saving more fuel and managing to come out ahead of everyone in the pits. It looks like Thomas, though, keeping him honest at the moment. Thomas still not too far back. I think he's eked it in a little bit. Definitely a couple of tenths or two closer than he was before. But now with a country mile over Jason. Oh, in fact, no, it's Chuck back in a third place. The Chuck has actually managed to gap Jason by a fair bit now. Jason actually opting for the racing mediums in this first stint. So should we have a look actually at what everyone's tyre strategies are? So we've got Wayne G on the racing soft, Thomas also on the softs, Chuck is on the softs, we've got Blood Diamond on the mediums, Jerry on the softs, Dan Bailey up to 6th place now on the softs, Molson in 7th on the softs, Pickles on the softs, Vexed is on the softs, Clutch and Asbo also running the soft tyre. So the only person actually at the moment on the mediums is Jason. So Jason looking good at the moment. Can he manage to extend that medium stint? We have had the weather forecast and I do believe there is going to be weather inbound. So everybody's going to be keeping a tentative eye on that weather radar, which we can't actually cycle through, but it would be on the bottom right hand side there where you can see the track map. So I think the closest battle at the moment may be that what we just saw between Vexed and Pickle. Pickle trying to keep Vexed at bay now. It looks like Vexed starting to gain in the slip. Does manage to close right up under braking. Is there going to be an opportunity for him to go for a move though? We'll go back to that in just a second. So actually, in fact, here, Dan Bailey right onto the back of Jerry now. Can he force him into an error or can he get the move done? We've got Blood Diamond with a 2-second penalty. Also onto the back of Chuck once again, but that penalty is going to null that momentum for him. He's going to have to continue to... Chuck with 2.5 seconds. That is going to mean that Jason should surely get the position on Chuck, but Chuck is going to lose position to both Dan and Jerry, and Dan does get a move done on Jerry. Jerry's going to be on the inside still, but Dan does manage to sweep around the outside in the Mercedes. That Hyundai, though, does seem to be very good in a straight line. Not to be scoffed at. Jerry trying to come back now. He's trying to battle with Dan, trying to retake that position. What can he do? And are we going to see them both get a couple of positions here? Oh, thought about the bump draft, but then pulled out. And yeah, here we go. So Blood Diamond has been slowed down by that penalty, as has Chuck. Jerry should be able to easily make it around the outside. Chuck can and will go defensive. And we have Dan Bailey still on the outside there, trying to fight back against Jerry. Jerry has retaken the position back up to 4th place. Dan Bailey and Blood Diamond, no, Dan Bailey and Mawson even, I think that was, having a little bit of a coming together there. Mawson's come off better out of that. He's managed to get ahead of Dan Bailey now. Dan Bailey down to 6th place. So Mawson trying to creep on to the back of Jerry. Look at the momentum he's carried through that last turn. That is insane. Massive overspeed there from Mawson, which should surely carry him past, and it does. Jerry darts out to have a look up the inside, not close enough into the final chicane. So that Mawson, that Supra, driven by Mawson, has been a bit of a powerhouse as well this season. We all know how good the Supra is though, or can be. I'm thinking of a track dependent car though. Around some tracks it's not quite as good as it could be, but around others it absolutely excels. But under the attack from Jerry now. Jerry looking up the inside, what are you going to move done? That was ballsy there from Jerry, almost got it done. That was cracking stuff. So Jerry looking very confident at the moment in that Hyundai, wants to try and get past Mawson before he has to serve this penalty. Only half a second, but that will surely lose him the position to Dan Bailey if he doesn't manage to get past Mawson. Chuck picking up half a second there. Will he go for the bump draft? He does go for the bump draft, so maybe aided by the toe of Mawson he can get past Chuck, or he's going to think about a move into the chicane. Actually throwing defensive shapes there, covers the inside off from Dan Bailey. Dan Bailey sweeping around the outside though. Will going to move down before the braking zone. Oh, and has to dive into the barrier there. Dan Bailey outbroke himself. No! Dan Bailey! Oh, Dan Bailey. That was... Come on, we got to have a look at that. So Dan Bailey managed to get around the outside of Jerry there. I think he was focusing on trying to have a look up the inside. Outbraked himself. Had to try and go for the inside into the barrier. Almost took Mawson out in the process. That was unlucky, Dan. Jerry has managed to get past Mawson. He's managed to pull ahead as well. He's pulled a couple of car lengths over the Supra. He's got half a second penalty. And Chuck manages to come back as well, also with half a second's penalty. Is he going to be able to get past the Supra before the braking zone? Mawson is going to try and hang on that inside line. He will have the inside for the entry, but it's going to turn into Chuck's corner for the set. Oh, and Chuck just driving off the track there. He's going to lose the position now to Blood Diamond. That's an unlucky turn of events there for Chuck. Blood Diamond up into 5th place, and Chuck going to lose the position now to Dan Bailey. Dan Bailey with a better momentum out of that second chicane. Oh, and in the background, Vexed has managed to get back past Pickle. So Vexed up to 8th, Pickle down to 9th, Clutch there in 10th. Clutch got past Asbo. Asbo there in 11th. So the top two is still Wayne G and Thomas. Thomas still trying to chase Wayne G down, but to no avail so far. Not losing sight of him though. Jerry driving the absolute wheels off of that Hyundai at the moment. It's looking pretty good around Le Saf. Can he turn this into a podium? Oh, Mawson with a move up the inside through the very sketchy sector. Oh, doesn't manage to get it done though. Jerry actually managed to keep the position there. As I say, very sketchy sweeping sector. If you brake in the wrong place, it just unsettles the car and wants to spit you into that barrier or into the kitty litter. And there we go, Mawson does finally get past once Jerry serves that penalty. Only half a second, but it looks like Blood maybe will be able to look for an opportunity now as well, as he has the better momentum. And he does finally look to the inside, but Jerry's going to keep the position. Couldn't quite get alongside. Could Jason in the Mercedes. Now we've got Chuck starting to hound Dan Bailey. Dan Bailey currently 6th. Chuck is there in 7th. We're going to stay on board for just a second, see if he manages to look for a move against the Hyundai. In fact, actually dropping back by a couple of attempts. Dan Bailey under the attention now of the RCZ, driven by Chuck. Chuck in the Peugeot. So you can see it is starting to look a little bit dingy out there. I think we have got the weather starting to come in. I think any time now, it's looking like the heavens may open. So Dan Bailey keeping that gap consistent back to Chuck. Then we have Vex trying to close that gap in 8th place. So after serving a 10.5 second penalty, actually not doing too badly, almost back onto the back of the pack. You see everyone's lights have started to come on now, that's how dark it's getting out there. Have their wipers started going yet? No, not yet. So Pickle with half a second now. Pickle having a bit of a lonely race. Needs to try and get onto the back of the rest of the field. And Clutch not too far off the back of Pickle, but a good couple of seconds back now, as is Asbo off the back of Clutch. Asbo having a very good start. He was up to 5th at one point. Just having a couple of moments here or there, I think maybe through that windy or the sweepy downhill sector into the sharp left-hand bend. We saw him having to come together with Moulton, I think it was, a few laps ago. And then I think somebody actually turned him around as he was trying to get going again. Just an unlucky outing for the BMW driver. So let's watch the leaders for a minute. So Wayne G still out at the front, still with a lovely gap over Thomas in 2nd place, keeping it very consistent indeed. Well, Thomas is actually keeping it very consistent as well, not allowing Wayne G to creep away. Oh, Wayne G goes deep. That was very deep there from Wayne. Too fast. Will that be an opportunity now for Thomas? And we see a little weave of acknowledgement there from Wayne G. He knows he had a moment. He knows Thomas is closer. Is Thomas going to have the opportunity to be able to get the overtake done before the rain sets in, though? We'll have to wait and see. But look how close he is now. Oh, Wayne fainting the pit there, it seemed. Trying to make Thomas think he was going to go in. Thomas currently the fastest lap as well on lap 3, a 4:01.685. And as Wayne had to start using the full rev range as Thomas has managed to creep back onto him. Chuck going for an early pit stop. That might be a lap too early. We'll have to wait and see. If he goes onto wet weather tyres, he may cook them before the weather comes. So we're trying to pay attention here to Oh, and in fact, he's still short shifting. Oh, Thomas is looking close though. Is Thomas going to be able to go for a move come the first chicane? 17 minutes in now. Just over 30 to go. Oof. A little bit of a rear end twitch there from Wayne G on the exit of the first chicane. Didn't cost him too much time. He's not picked up a penalty either. Is Thomas going to look for the overtake now? In fact, no, chooses to stay behind. But there is a lot of very long straights around this track, so he can make the most of sitting in Wayne G's slip. Has the Ferrari even got the straight line speed to be able to get past the Dodge? Oof. Almost pushing the Viper along now is Thomas. Still yet to spot the wipers going on the car, so although it looks very murky out there, the rain has not started to fall yet. Oh no, I think we can see the wiper on Thomas's car going, so yeah, it does look like it has started to rain now. The heavens have opened. So maybe that was an absolutely class strategy decision there from Chuck, because he isn't going to have to pit now. While the others pit, he should surely make up position. So we've got Dan Bailey on a second's worth of penalty, Jerry also on a second. Vex somehow has managed to get onto the back of Blood Diamond. Will he look for the booth? It looks like he is, and he has managed to get the position done. Up into 5th place for Vexed. Can he keep it there? He's got to try and stay ahead of Blood Diamond, try and get back to the pits. The great recovery race at the moment from Vexed. Mawson down in 7th now. We've got Clutch up to 8th. Chuck must have had a moment somewhere. He's down in 9th and some way off a clutch. Pickle all the way down in 10th, and Asbo there in 11th. So we're surely going to see all the other cars decide to go into... Oh, Dan Bailey with a really deep line there. Will that end him with a penalty? Or will that slap him with a penalty? It might do. It might be half a second. But looking like he actually got away with it. So Dan Bailey is in, Jerry is in, Vexed is in, Blood is in, Mawson follows, Clutch will follow. You would presume, surely he's not going to stay out for another lap. He'll be dicing with death if he does. Yeah, he does peel into the pit. So Chuck, the first person to head to the pits, is not going to get past the top 3. How many positions can he make up though, going for the early pit stop? Aided by the undercut. And we can see Jerry starting to fill that car up now. Mawson filling the car up. We've got Dan Bailey exiting the pits. I think Chuck's going to come out just behind Blood Diamond. So he manages to get past Chuck. Will he get past Vexed as well? No, he doesn't. Vexed well and truly onto the back of Jason. both cars taking on a full tank of fuel. And I would imagine, yeah, I'd imagine Pickle and Chuck probably did as well. And Vex was right up under the rear wing of that Mercedes, but lost a few tenths through the first sector. Oh, back there again though. Right back onto the rear bumper of Jason. Blood Diamond. Very treacherous conditions to try and set a move up though. Normally becomes a little bit of a procession in the wet conditions, but we'll have to see what is in store for our drivers. So Mawson there in 5th place, Jerry is up to 4th, he's on the race, he's on the wet compound now, as is Dan Bailey, as is Thomas, as is Wayne G. And look at the, oh my days, look at the gap that Wayne G has got over Thomas. That is insane. That is just crazy stuff. And that's because Wayne G hasn't fueled up as much. I think knowing that he can just fuel save and make it to the end now. Or will he opt to pit and get rid of them wets at some stage and maybe have a bit of a splash and dash? Thomas still the fastest lap. Don't think anyone is going to take that away from him, not in these conditions anyway. Lighting the rear tyres up on that Ferrari. Lasaf turning into a bit of a swimming pool now. Wayne G putting on an absolute masterclass around Le Mans. Just looks at home out there in that Dodge. And looking like he is well and truly going to seal the deal in this race and take the championship away from Thomas, who is your current Tier 1 champion. And Blood Diamond winning it the season previous. But yeah, Wayne G still absolutely flying on the wet compound now. Actually opting for a little bit of traction in these conditions, as I would imagine everybody probably is. Yeah, you can even see Thomas using it, and Thomas and Wayne G, probably two of our best drivers, two of our very best drivers. And yeah, even they are opting for the TC at the moment. Oh, big slide there from Thomas, keeps it going though. Oh, that's definitely sketchy stuff out there. Definitely brown trouser weather. Jerry finding himself now in 3rd place, back up into that 3rd step on the podium. Can he keep it there in that mighty Hyundai? I think everybody was laughing at his pick for the start of the season, but that thing has actually proved to be pretty competitive. As has the little Z4, which is struggling at the moment in these conditions. The Dan Bailey trying to keep Jerry honest in that Mercedes. Mercedes is a very good all-round car, as we know. So Mawson back up to 5th place now. What can he do? We've got Blood Diamond now in 6th and Vexed in 7th. Chuck not too far back now, but with 1.5 seconds worth of penalty. That has to be for track limits somewhere. Just over the halfway stage of this race. 24 minutes and change. left on the clock. So Vexed and Blood Diamond have started to reel Molson in now. Molson maybe not feeling too confident in these conditions. Probably still very confident in the speed of that Supra though. Very good along the straights. Blood Diamond now looking like he may be able to set one up into the next chicane. Will Molson open up the door? No, he doesn't. He holds that inside line. And every time that Jason pulls out, he just hits a brick wall. Cannot find the speed to get past the Supra. Almost with a moment there on the exit. The Mercedes squirming under power. We've got Dan Bailey hounding Jerry once again up in 4th place. Oh, Wilson, has he gone a little bit deep there? Will that open the door to Blood? He has opened the door now. Blood, will he be able to get the better getaway on the exit of that right-hander along this straight here? Just edges ahead, but Molson with the speed of that Supra, surely he's going to be able to come back past. And now I see Dan Bailey. Dan Bailey looks for the inside into the sweepy downhill sector. Very weird sector, this one. Can be very sketchy under braking. The car just wants to snap on you. Everybody seemingly getting through there unscathed though. Dan Bailey gets through, Jerry gets through, Blood has got past Molson. Got Vexed, and then what? Chuck. Wait, what happened to Chuck? Oh no! And I think Chuck just hitting that patch of water there whilst he was braking, just unsettled the car, sent him sliding. That's unlucky, Chuck. Super unlucky there for Chuck. He was catching the rest of the pack once again. You just see him rounding that turn there. So Blood Diamond at the head of this 3-car train. Dan Bailey has got past Jerry, and he's managed to create a couple of cars length distance. Winnie G still. Oh, that was a very deep entry into the first turn. I wonder if that's going to end him with a penalty. End up with him getting a penalty there. That may be half a second at least. But again, looking like he's managed to get away with it. Not the line he wanted to take, but I don't think he meant to take that line. Ooh, very squirrely through that last sector. That Dodge Viper just looks like it wants to bite him every exit of every turn that he comes through. Squirming under acceleration. And that gap back to Thomas is something special now. We saw how close it was before the pit stops. And it looks like Asbo just pulled over to the side of the road there. I think he's retired the car. Perhaps having mechanical issues. So Dan Bailey now third. He's got a few car lengths over Jerry in fourth. Jerry with a flash of the lights there. Blood Diamond now fifth. Molson sixth. And Vexed. Oh, what happened to Vexed? Oh no! Managed to find the curb, which chewed him up and spat him out. Now going to get passed by Chuck. Down into 8th place of Chuck, back up to 7th, but with half a second's penalty. Can he close on to the back of Mawson? And next, after quite a good recovery race, it's all gone to pot. What is Asbo doing? It's also got very dark out there, so quite hard to see the action on track. We're going to try and continue to follow it for you. So Wendy G in the lead of the race, Thomas in 2nd place, Dan Bailey 3rd. We have Jerry Smiles now in 4th. Blood Diamond is in 5th place. We've got Mawson in 6th. Chuck is 7th with half a second's penalty. Next is in 8th. And looked like he was having a bit of a moment in the background there. Clutch now 9th. Asbo down in 10th. He's still lapping out there, but I'm not sure what's going on. Possibly an auto drive. Very slow indeed. And that is not like Asbo. Asbo's been absolutely rapid in that Z4 this season. There was a couple of times when he probably should have got the win, but unfortunately due to the tyre wear and the fuel consumption, it just wasn't to be. So obviously some of the cars are better at looking after their tyres and fuel than others, and also some people are better at looking after their tyres and fuel than others. And this season has definitely been one of attrition. You've been having to watch your fuel and tyres all season long, which has made for some interesting strategies, but also kind of killing them in some races, not being able to take the mediums for as long as you maybe would have liked because you've not got the fuel to do so. So having to pit a lap or two earlier and then take on the softs earlier than you would like can be a bit of a race nullifier. Which I do believe is actually a word. If you want to go and look it up, you can. Be my guest. N-U-L-L-I-F-I-E-R. Like multiplier. I digress. So Thomas, try as he might, cannot close that gap to Wayne G. Wayne G just a force to be reckoned with at the moment, and the lap times all over the place, to be fair, from both Wayne G and Thomas. Yeah, it's very, very treacherous conditions out there, absolutely raining cats and dogs. Dan Bailey still extending that gap over. Oh wait, Jerry's down in 6th now, so Jerry must have had a moment somewhere. Blood Diamond up to 4th place with half a second though, as is Mawson up to 5th with half a second. Jerry now in 6th place. Vext is there in 7th, but some way off the back of Jerry at the moment. He's got a nice bit of a gap over Chuck though, so not having to worry about Chuck at the moment in 8th. Clutch 9th, Asbo 10th. Did we lose someone? I think we have lost someone. sure we had 11 at the start in race. What was that last week? I'm sure we had 11 at the start though. I'm sure we did. Wavy, Thomas, Dan Bailey, Blood, Mawson, Jerry, myself, Chuck, Clutch, Asberg. Who are we missing? I'm sure we're missing someone. Oh, Dan Bailey with 2.5 seconds. Is that going to bring him back into the clutches of Blood Diamond? He's just had a sketchy couple of turns out there. As I say, the staff, a bit of a swimming pool at the moment. They'd probably be better off getting out their oars and starting to paddle. There will be a somewhat dry-ish line out there, but the GT3 cars don't really disperse as much water as, say, F1 cars, for instance. So there will still be a lot of surface water that they have to contend with. And the same is going to go for if and when it does start to dry up out there. It does sound like the rain may be starting to ease off. It's definitely raining a lot heavier on laps previous. So Dan Bailey did serve that penalty, and it has not brought him into the clutch of the Blood Diamond, back in 4th place. Blood Diamond still with a few car lengths of a gap to deal with, but also with a nice gap back to Mawson. You can just about see the headlights in the rear view. Oh, and here comes another downpour. Just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, it actually does. Blood Diamond continuing to work on that gap to Dan Bailey in 3rd. Mawson, at the moment, it looks like he can't close the gap to Blood Diamond. Trying to chip away at that gap is what he's doing though. But then we have a fair few seconds back to Jerry. You can just see the cars going through the first S as he was on the approach. I think at this stage he's probably around 8 seconds behind Mawson. And then Vexed, I think Vexed around 10 to 12 seconds behind Jerry. But I think also with around about an equal gap back to Chuck as well, so not having to worry about going defensive. You could just worry or just work on trying to get that Citroen home. Maybe try and close to Jerry up ahead in 6th place. We've just under 10 minutes left in this race. Clutch is into the pit. So Clutch, is he taking on a fresh set of tyres? Interesting stuff. And when we saw Vex then coming down the straight, it looked like you could start to see a dry line starting to form. You can't see a very good... Yeah, and Asbo managed to find a place off the track. Probably still going to be causing the yellow flag through that sector. So Wayne G still with a huge lead over the rest of the field. I think it's safe to say he has got the championship in the bag unless he has a massive off somewhere. But I think with the double points last week, just managing to extend his lead enough coming into this round that he hasn't really got to work for it. But he is definitely putting in the work at the moment. Well, actually, you could just see the headlights there of Thomas come into shot, so maybe Thomas closer now than we thought he was. So perhaps he has started to slowly chip away at the gap to Wayne, but I think it's just a little too late at the moment. And then curbs are going to become very treacherous as that dry line starts to form. They seem to hold water like an old sponge. But you can definitely see a dry line starting to form as well around the track. Are we going to see a lot of guys decide to dive into the pits, maybe take on a set of soft compound tyres, or a set of dry weather tyres? Set of slicks for the final phase. And we did see Clutch head to the pit, so but the top two still out on the wet weather tyres. Dan Bailey stays out as well. He's still there in third place. Blood Diamond started to close that gap once again in the drying conditions. Is he going to use too much of them wets though? He's going to overheat them. That is the question. Molson still sitting pretty in fifth place at the moment. Jerry Smiles. In fact, no, Jerry has started to catch him. So Jerry may be gaining confidence in the drying conditions as well. Started to put the foot down. So Dan Bailey and Blood Diamond have dived into the pits, or dove into the pits. That is going to release Molson and Jerry up to third and fourth. And there they go, so Molson up into third place, Jerry is up into fourth. Can he manage to get the move done on Molson? Molson shows him the long way round. Jerry tries to have a look around the outside, gets shown the inside. Molson going very defensive at the moment, doing a good job of it. Jerry cannot find a way through. I'd be inclined to sit as close as I could until the straight. Jerry, maybe try and get the move done there. That Hyundai is very good in a straight line. Is that what he's going to do? So Vexed up into fifth place now. So this could be a good result if he manages to keep it here. It doesn't have any more moments. But wet weather tyres on a drying track can always throw up some shenanigans, so I would not be surprised if that is not the place where Vex finishes. So Blood Diamond is on a set of racing softs now. So the guys that have gone on to the dry tyres, they're going to be having to stay on that dry line as much as they can. If they stray off onto the wet stuff, it's going to be game over. Well, it'd definitely be a brown trouser moment, but could for sure be game over. Jason does manage to collect a bit of the wet stuff there. Starts getting the understeer onto the wet stuff on the outside once again. Yeah, maybe a lap too early for the softs. How far ahead is Vex? So can't quite see the tail lights of Vex. I think you can just about see the headlights lighting up the trees either side of the track, but no, can't quite see Vex. Or you can just see the shadow of his car going through this chicane here. Yeah, Jason's got to be very careful here on the softs. But at the moment, looking like he may have the pace to be able to get a move done on Vexed. So Vexed is going to have to go very defensive or hope that Blood has a moment somewhere. Dan Bailey, currently 7th, trying to stick with... Oh, so Vex did have a moment. He did have a moment. He's off. He's going to lose the position to Dan Bailey as well. Let's have a quick look, see what happened there. Just outbraking himself. So being chased down the straight by Blood Diamond, by Jason. And then just, out onto the... Yeah, there's a wet part of the track there. Just could not get that car stopped. So Jason up into 5th place now. Dan Bailey manages to avoid Vex there, up into 6th. So looking like that may have been a good strategy call from the guys who have swapped onto the dry weather tyres. The wets are going to be starting to scream soon. I think the guys that are still running the wets are going to be looking to try and find the moist part of the track to cool the tyres down whenever they can. Chuck gets it right through that left hander that time. Oh wait, oh Dan Bailey, what happened to Dan Bailey? Oh, well, he gets it wrong, just outbrakes himself into the barrier. Oh, Dan. Oh, it's unlucky. So Vex now back up to 6th position. Will Dan Bailey lose position to Chuck? Wait, I thought Chuck was a lot closer than he was. Oh, Chuck pulling over onto the wet part of the track there, trying to cool them wet weather tyres down. He went in a lap earlier, didn't he? And yeah, you can definitely see the difference in the tyre wear. Chuck's tyres totally cooked. Just drives off the track for good measure. Can Clutch catch him now? We're slowly approaching the end of this race. We're going to have to check on board to see what positions everyone is, because I can tell you now that at 50 minutes the race just came to a halt, came to a stop. Nobody got to finish. I think Wayne G and Thomas possibly crossing the line. But the order that the guys will finish in, Wayne G will take the win and takes the championship in this round in the endurance race here. GG's Wayne G, what a season he's had. Thomas came in 2nd, and I believe he came 2nd overall in the championship as well. Jerry Smiles did manage to finish out on the podium. Mawson finished in 4th place, Blood Diamond 5th, Vexed 6th, Dan Bailey 7th, Chuck 8th, Clutch 9th, Asbo 10th. We know that Wayne G has got the race sewn up. He's going to take the checkered flag. We know that Thomas has got 2nd place sewn up. So let's stay on board with Jerry Smiles just to see if he does manage to keep that 3rd place, which I think he does. Look at the gap back to Mawson. That gap is quite substantial. So 20 seconds and change left on the clock. It doesn't look like Jerry is going to finish up on the podium. So Wenny G once again taking the win, and the checkered flag actually not getting to finish the lap. Neither does Thomas, finishing in 2nd place. Jerry will finish in 3rd. Mawson will finish in 4th. Vexed in 5th. Dan Bailey 6th. Blood Diamond 7th. Chuck 8th. And where is the cut? It definitely did the race cut out for some strange reason. Maybe a few of them did get to finish the lap. Oh, and maybe Dan Bailey will get a move done on Vexed. Vex having to cool them tyres down. Back onto the racing line. Oh, that Bailey! That Bailey tried to go around the outside there. It didn't quite work out for him. Vex did look like he was going to lose the position for a minute, but looking like he may be able to hold on to it now. As Blood Diamond is some way behind, but it definitely does cut the race sometime soon. So there we go, Wayne G. We did get to see him cross the line, so he crossed the line, took the checkered flag and the win. Thomas will take second place. Jerry Smiles will take the third. GG's Jerry. I think it was his first podium of the season as well. Absolute corker. Or did he get one last week? I know he had an absolute corker around Monza with no chicane as well, so... Correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, and Blood Diamond managed to get past Vex in the end, so Blood Diamond up into 5th place. So looking like Blood Diamond finishes in 5th place. Vex will finish in 6th. Where is the... I know for a fact we didn't get to finish the lap. And there we go. So that was it. So, yeah. Your finishing order once again. Wayne G taking the win. Thomas finishing in 2nd. We had Jerry in 3rd. Morton was 4th. Blood Diamond was 5th. Vex 6th in the end. Dan Bailey 7th. Chuck 8th. Clutch 9th. Asbo 10th. And Pickle finished in 11th. Oh, so it's Pickle. We lost Pickle during that race. Pickle obviously having a DC. Well, that was it, guys. That was it for Season 3. We'll be back once again in a few weeks with Season 4, so stay tuned for that one. I've been your boy Vex. This has been the Motor Oil, Midnight Oil, not the Motor Oil. It's been Midnight Oil Racing League's GT7 Championship. Good night.